freak of nature. Arms like an octopus, a walking mismatch, alien. Which rookie in NBA history do you think these statements were made about? If your guess was Victor Wembanyama, I have to disappoint you. Because in 2007, a player not much unlike Victor came into the league as the most hyped-up rookie prospect since LeBron. At only the tender age of 19, this kid began his ruthless attack on the NBA and immediately left his marks. His name? Kevin Durant. With all the recent hype around the so-called alien, Victor Wembanyama, many forget the first player to be considered an extraterrestrial life form because even as a rookie, KD was good, really good. How good exactly? Well, if we look at the best rookie seasons up until KD's in 2007 to 2008, we find some familiar names. Both T-Mac and Dwight Howard had stellar rookie seasons as teenagers, with about 14 points per 36. Above them, at 17 points, you find Kobe, who was actually only 18 when he came to the league. Even better than the Black Mamba was, of course, LeBron, with around 19 points per 36. Go even further, and you find the best teenagers to ever come into the NBA in Cliff Robinson, Carmelo Anthony, and right at the top, with the best rookie season ever posted by a teenager, Kevin Durant, with 21 points per 36. So yeah, I think it is safe to say that the Slim Reaper deserved his name from the moment he first stepped foot on an NBA court. However, once we expand our dataset and include also the more recent rookie seasons of teenagers up until now, we quickly see a shift in narrative. Because even though KD initially had the best one, the natural evolution of the NBA put a dent in his record. Young talent in the NBA has never been to a point like now, with more and more teenagers posting increasingly impressive rookie seasons, even as teenagers. So who were these rising stars of the league? Well, amongst them were the names you probably were expecting, like Banchero, Trae Young, and Luka Doncic, who all needed virtually no time to adjust to the NBA. But in reality, there is one other player missing in this graph who showed us this season why he might be on road to end the GOAT debate once and for all. I am, of course, talking about the Eiffel Tower, Victor Wembanyama, who with 26 set the record for the most points per 36 for a rookie teenager in NBA history. But he didn't just break Luka's previous record, he absolutely destroyed it on insane efficiency, unlike anyone we have seen before. This makes you wonder, if he starts off this much better offensively than KD, how good will Wemby's prime be? Also, there is one other stat that will blow your mind. Think of the best three-point shooters in the league today, specifically those who are best at step-back threes. You could put up names like Luka, Dame, Steph, Trae Young, or James Harden, and if you were to look at their percentage on step-back threes, not one of them would come even close to Wemby. That's right, we have a 20-year-old 7'4" guy who is leading the NBA in step-back threes. But Wemby's unbelievable stats don't just end there. The 5x5 stat line is one of the rarest occurrences in basketball and has only been accomplished 22 times by a handful of players. Hakeem Olajuwon had 6 of these games, more than anyone else. So how does Wemby stack up against him? As I said, Hakeem recorded 6 5x5s in a total of 1,238 games, which puts him at a relative chance of only 0.4% to achieve this stat line at any given night. Wemby, on the other hand, only played 71 games in his rookie season and already put up one in a shocker against the Lakers. This consequently puts his chance at a 5x5 on a random night at a much higher chance of 1.4%, which means that Wemby is on average 3.5 times more likely to give you this stat line than the Hall of Famer Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, who is specifically known for this stat line. But that's not even the full story, as Wemby beat Hakeem to his first one by 4 years. Hakeem needed 204, compared to Wemby's only 56 games. But the truly shocking difference lies in the quality of their respective 5x5 games, as Hakeem needs on average 46 minutes to get to this stat line, whilst Wemby put up his first one on a minutes restriction in only 31 minutes. But when thinking about Wemby, the 7'4" behemoth who towers over any other player, his offense isn't the first thing that comes to mind. Seeing him swat shots so hard that it leaves his opponents with PTSD and fear to even attempt wide-open layups is just something we have come to expect on a regular basis. So let's take a look at just how great Wemby is defensively. For this purpose, I want to show you the top 10 leaders in block percentage in NBA history. This stat measures how many field goal attempts out of 100 a player is going to block. Now, the first thing we can see is a lot of Manute Bol, father of the Phoenix Suns Bol Bol, who towered even over Wemby with 7'7" and a wingspan of 8'6". Although not being as agile as Wemby, back in Manute's day, this was no problem, as the game itself was far less stretched out, with three-point attempts and shooting in general rarely being the first option. For this reason, Manute was a defensive post presence and rim protector like no one else, with the sole purpose of blocking opponents. So it comes to no surprise that he makes the top 10 list a staggering 4 times. But what I find even more impressive is how Wemby's rookie season lands just behind Manute Bol on 4th place, with a block percentage of over 10%. But where does the current Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, rank on this list? Well, to find him, we have to scroll all the way down to 207th place, where we can see that he blocks only half as many attempts as Wemby does. But why stop here? Wemby's right to be the Defensive Player of the Year instead of Gobert has been a heated topic for the past few months, so let's make the case for both Frenchmen in their battle for the title. Victor actively leads the NBA in stocks per 36, as well as stocks percentage, both far ahead of Rudy, and he has 5 more games with 7+ blocks than Gobert. Also, Vic has a higher on-off plus-minus, meaning that the difference between his team's defensive rating is far better with him on the floor compared to when he's not playing. This also reflects in his player's impact estimate, where, again, he is ahead of Gobert. In fact, Victor's impact cannot be overstated, since when we look at the top 10 most impactful players this season, according to Player Impact Estimate, a very important metric also used to determine the MVP ladder, we can already find him at 9th place amongst the best superstars of the league today, and even ahead of Tyrese Halliburton. On the other hand, though, there is also a pretty decent case that can be made for Rudy. He actually leads in most advanced defensive stats like players' defensive rating, defensive rebounds, and defensive field goal percentage. Most importantly, however, is his big gap to Wemby in regards to defensive win shares, in which Gobert leads the league. This stat has a lot to do with the success of a player's team, as this stat is greatly influenced by how many games the team wins in total. And with the Timberwolves being a close number 3 seed with the number 1 defense compared to the Spurs' 25th rank, this huge gap in defensive win shares makes sense. And as sad as this sounds for Wemby, the Defensive Player of the Year isn't just an award for a single player's performance, but to a large part, a team effort. Because even if you are the league's best defender, but at the same time are stuck on the worst defense, you simply will not win this award. The past winners of the last year's Defensive Player of the Year award all were on top-tier defensive teams. So it is unlikely that we will see Wemby win this award if the Spurs don't make some improvements around the best talent the NBA has ever seen.